just did a little intro on a fairly simple G major chord. But as you probably could see, I can move rather freely around the fretboard. And the secret to that is playing and practicing triads. We can rehearse our scales, but actually it's sometimes better to boil it down to just triads and then add some extra notes. In this case, I was playing off a G major triad. And a triad is a 3-note chord. And if we have the G, we have the root note G, and then we have the major third. That's what makes it a major chord. And then we have the 5th. And then I, in this case, play the octave again. So it's only a 3-note chord. You should be able to play this all over your bass. So if you start with a G major triad, in 1 octave, there's 2 different fingerings. The first one is a basic fingering where you have the 2nd finger on the root note, 1st finger on the major third. You can see it's about getting these patterns, visual patterns, into your memory, to memorize them. So we have this, the major third, root note, major third, and 5th. This pattern forms like a triangle when you look at the fretboard. And then the octave here, you have the G here. That's the first fingering. Then you repeat it by playing the same exact pattern on this G here. So we have, that should be so much into your fingering. Or finding the other G's on your bass, for instance here. Or here. You see I move my finger to play a 2-octave pattern. 2nd finger first, and then I move up to this 2nd finger, 2nd finger, 1st finger, 5th, and up to the octave G. That's first fingering, and then there's a 2nd fingering where you play the first 2 notes on the E string. 1st finger on the root, and on the same string on the major third, the interval of the major third. I play with my 4th finger, and then the 5th with my 1st, the root note with my 1st. So we have 1st fingering was this, starting on the 2nd finger. Those are the 2 most common fingerings when playing triads, major triads. The 2nd fingering here is really useful for getting up the neck. So we have some target notes. We have of course our G, we have a G here and G here, and then we have the G octave on the A string here. So you can see when we use this fingering, and then we just, when we reach the octave, we just repeat the same pattern, same fingering. So the same fingering here, and of course we have to go up the neck to hit that high G. So you can really see that this is really useful for getting up the neck. And the other fingering here is more when you stay down in the same position, playing these kind of bass line. Of course, you can also play with the other finger. Has another sound to it. This or this. These 2 fingerings you should know, you must know. And by moving up, of course, when you have this pattern here, 3rd fret, you can easily play it an octave up. Just move your whole hand up past the 12th fret where you have the, 12th fret is an octave above the open string, so you can use that for reference. So the first dot here, third fret, you can find here. So always practice when you practice in this octave. Also be able to play the same up. That's a must. So we have the two fingering. Do the same up here. Of course, when you now I'm on a short scale bass and the frets are a bit more narrow, and so when you come up here, you don't use your fourth finger anymore, but first, third, one, first, third. But it's the same principle. So two fingerings, and try to play it in 2 octaves. Now I'll try again to play in 2 octaves. When I play the first fingering in 2 octaves, I shift already on the 5th here, the 5th, the interval of the 5th of the chord. It's root note, major third, 5th. So I do this, second finger, first finger, second finger, first finger, fourth finger, and then I slide up to here. And the other fingering, first finger, fourth, actually it's third and fourth together. First finger, fourth, first finger, fourth. And you begin to see the relationships between the different intervals. For example, you always use something as target notes. You of course have your root note, but you soon get this, the 5th. You can see the 5th is on the next string, 2 frets higher, and that should have root note 5th, the same here, root note 5th, and then you see it's only these 2 frets apart. So you begin to see at least the root note on the 5th, and then you see the major third is on the same string here, just 2 frets apart from the 5th. 2 frets is like a whole step. A scale is made of whole steps and half steps, so you can actually see that from the root note up to the major third, it's 1, 2 whole steps. But it's a good the visual reference of having the 5th, these on the next string, 2 frets apart, and then the third here. You begin to see these patterns when you do it. You have to practice, of course. Okay, so we have this. We have it here. And then, of course, we also have the G on the A string, and you should practice it there as well. Both fingerings. First fingering, second finger, and notice that I use my third finger here because, again, we're getting into the higher register, so the frets are have a tighter spacing. And then it's a matter of playing when you practice this, and also practice in inversions. Inversions means we have the root position, which is root note, third, major third, 5th, and then the octave. Then we take the first inversion. The first inversion is just starting our little pattern. Now we have this little pattern consisting of 4 notes, 1, 3, 5, and then 1 comes again. When I say 1, I mean the first step, 3, I mean the third, 5, I mean the 5th, and 1 again, because it's a root note, it's an octave, but it's the same note G. You can also call it 8, because it's the 8, when you take a major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the octave. But in reality, 8 is the same as 1. Okay, we take this. This is the root position. I'm talking about practicing in what is called inversion. Root position, and then the first inversion, you start on the third and play up to the third. So instead of saying 1, 3, 5, 1, you say 3, 5, 1, 3. So we start on the root position, 1, 3, 5, 1, and then the first inversion says 3, 3, 5, 1, 3. And can you guess what the second inversion is? Starts on the 5th. And I move my finger here. 5, 1, 3, 5. So it's 5 to 5, 3 to 3, 1 to 1. So it sounds like this. And then we can take for good measure the octave part. So this is like 4 patterns. It almost sounds like, you know, a bugle for a military parade. But it's just the triad that we practice in inversion, and we do the same for both fingerings. So we had this one here, the first finger, and here I move, or stay, and then this first inversion, the second, and the first again, an octave. And then we take the other fingering. That's the root position, and then we start on the third. 3, 5, 1, 3. Remember the new fingering. And then we start on the 5th. And the root position again. As there's only 3 different notes in a triad, here we have the G, the B, the D. There's only 1 root position and 2 inversions. 3 in all. So, practice triads, and in this instance I showed you the major triad. Another thing you could do also, and you should do, is practicing in all keys. And it's a good idea to practicing using what is called the circle of fifths. So when we start, for instance, we start on C, we start totally simple, start on just playing 1 octave. Then we go up, down a 5th or up a 4th. It's the same thing. So that is C, and then we go to F. And in this instance I'll play the F here. And then we go up a 4th again. That goes to B flat, and to E flat, to A flat, to D flat, and to G flat or F sharp, and to B, and to E. See, here I played with the open strings, I played the second fingering. But it's like this. This is the second fingering, but just using the open string. And the A, you can also play it like this, like this. And the D, and so on and so forth.